So a couple of days ago, I made a post on Instagram asking you guys to ask me questions because I wanted to get back into making Q&A videos again. And here we are. I have like 170 something questions from you guys, and let's start digging into that. But what I noticed is there's a lot of questions about like similar categories. So I want to try this time around. I want to do category focused Q&A videos. So this first one will be specifically about all you guys' questions about recording and mixing drums. So with that said, let's get started. Nico21 asks, how do you minimize your cymbal sounds leaking into your tom mics? So the main thing you want to try to do is to actually create some distance between your cymbals and your tom mics. So the further away and the higher up you can have your cymbals, the better, and the less bleed you'll get. But the issue with doing that is if you have them too high, for a lot of people that will be uncomfortable to play. And I think it's important to find this happy medium where you try to get your cymbals as high and as far away from your mics as possible, but you don't want it to impact your playing ability. Obviously, you can push them away in increments and like learn slowly to play with your cymbals higher if it's super uncomfortable for you. But still, at the end of the day, if you like a low setup, you can make that work. It's just a matter of like another thing that you can try to do is the angle of your tom mics and like strategic positions of where your tom mics are. Obviously you want to position them so that you get the best sound out of the tom, but again, you always have to keep this in mind with like happy mediums and just finding that like the trade-off between what you're looking for and what you're looking to avoid. So what I'd say is try to position your tom mics so that you get the best possible sound out of your toms. And then also make sure you try to angle them away as much as possible away from the nearby cymbals. Another last thing that you can do, which I actually do on my floor tom mics, is I like to put some acoustic foam, like a little piece, cut out piece, just like thread that over where the cable goes into the microphone and then like angle it slightly so that it basically creates like a barrier, like an absorbent barrier between the cymbal and where the microphone picks up sound. So what I'm basically trying to do is I'm trying to shield the microphone from the nearby cymbals in these kind of tricky positions. For example, my floor tom mic on the 14-inch tom is like right under the ride and really close to the stack. So I try to have this little absorbent piece of foam right there to kind of shield it from those nearby cymbals. But again, try to make the best out of your situation, out of your kit, and out of your setup, but you don't want to sacrifice playing ability. That's my 2 cents. Shannon Thomas asks, where/how did you learn to record and mix your drums so well? Recording and mixing drums is something I've actually learned on my own. Like I haven't gone to any school and studied like audio engineering or anything like that. I've just basically soaked up a ton of information from watching videos on YouTube and reading articles, and like whenever I see anything that relates to recording, I try to take the time to watch it, like a video or read an article or something, because there's always something to soak up. There's always more information to get, and part of it too is you have to be very experimental. Like you have to constantly try to improve your mixing and like you have to have this will to start over and just try new things and just experiment with mic positions and experiment with your mix. And there's so much just experimenting, and that's really fun. I really enjoy that, but it's part of the process. Like you have to really be a sponge and just try to soak up as much as you can from all different types of sources, and just try to find your own sound. And I'm still very much learning. There's so much I don't know and so much I'm not good at in terms of recording and mixing, but I'm getting there, and it's fun. I'm really enjoying the process. So and highly recommend, if you're not recording drums right now, if you ever want to get into that stuff, I can highly recommend it. It's a ton of fun. You have a ton of use out of it. But anyway, to answer your question, I'm self-taught in it, if that makes sense. Like no lessons or anything like that, just trying to be a sponge. Will Ferry Drums asks, how do you get that mad fat snare sound? First of all, thank you, I appreciate it. But in terms of how I get that sound, basically, I mean, there is a bit of mixing done to it. There's a fair bit of compression, a fair bit of EQ and stuff like that. In general though, what you'll notice with recording drums or recording anything, but it's very important for drums especially, is in general you want to try to get the best possible sound at the source, which means minimal processing, and don't try to fix things in the mix. Try instead to get the best possible sound you can, in this case from the snare drum. So I right now in my kit is a King Drums 13x7 maple snare, a custom snare, which I tune like pretty high, not super high, but pretty high. I always, pretty much my go-to head for any snare is the Evans Heavyweight. I think it's an awesome head, has a lot of crack, beautiful tone, and not too much overtone, so you don't need to control it that much. I have I'm taking a drum tack, which is what I use for dampening. I've taken a drum tack and cut it in half and just put that towards the rim, so it's like super light dampening, just to keep some overtones and just dial away the really high end. And that's pretty much it. Bottom head is pretty much cranked. Top head, again, pretty high, but not super cranked. And, you know, it just boils down to having a good sounding snare to start with. But basically, that's how I do it. In terms of EQ and compression, like, there's a little bit of that, or there is a bit of that, but it's not, you know, like, the snare sounds really good without anything put on it. It's just to fit with the rest of the stuff. Obviously, you have to do that kind of stuff. But source tones. Rawband1 asks, could you do a tutorial on how you mix your drums? Or maybe that's a secret you want to keep for yourself. I have been thinking about making some kind of video on recording and mixing. I just really haven't decided on what, in like the format or how I want to do that. If I want to do it like, you know, recording 101, like the basics, like starting out kind of thing, or if I want it to be more advanced stuff, or specifically recording or specifically mixing. Like, I haven't really decided, and that's probably why I haven't made anything yet. And also, it's like, this is something that I do teach. Obviously, I don't want to keep secrets. There's not any competition or anything. I do teach this kind of stuff, but that is more in like private Skype lessons, which you guys can just send me a message about, and we'll set one up. Where in that case, I can teach you one-on-one how I do everything. You know, you can ask questions and all of that. But as for a video, I am thinking of it. I just haven't decided yet. Maybe if you guys have some suggestions for like what you would want in a video like that about recording drums, let me know, and maybe I can try to make it sometime soon. Alright guys, so that will be it for today's Q&A video. I hope to see you again in the next one, and next time we'll focus specifically on gear, because I had a lot of questions about gear. So if you guys have any questions about, you know, my kit or recording equipment that I use, or just gear in general, it doesn't have to be stuff that I'm using, let me know. Post a comment below, post your question in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. I'll try my best to answer all of your questions. So see you guys very soon with some more videos, and maybe in a week or so I'll try to do another Q&A focused on gear. Take care guys, see you around.